It's great to have you. Episode 564 of this weekly omnibus news and analysis program. And we had a great midweek wire, and we'll throw that up on screen right now for any of you that missed it. This was an epic interview with a special contributor to 21st Century Wire, Yara Madarelli, journalist, activist. She was on board the Freedom Flotilla, or the Global Sumud Flotilla, as it's called. And she was there, and she basically shared her story with us. It was a fantastic discussion, and long form interview that went out on Thursday live. And we got some great feedback from this. Some people said they cried during parts of it because it was just so emotional. But full blow by blow account there from Yada. I mean, fantastic effort by her and her crew members. And we did interview her with Tagged Hickey from Ireland before they're apprehended by the Israelis. But you can check that out at the top of our feature section at 21stcenturywire.com, among other great pieces of content that are available this week. Now, we're going to talk about a couple of important subjects today during this first segment. Then in the overdrive segment, we'll be joined by our teammates, Hesher, Ruckus, possibly Freddie Ponton might even join us to weigh in, as well as Basil Valentine. So it'll be a full house if everybody shows up. But the illusion of peace, that's the theme of today's program for this Sunday Wire. The illusion of peace. And what do we mean by that? The illusion of peace. What do we mean by that? Let's talk about the illusion of peace. What does that mean exactly? And we'll talk about that, among other things, as well as the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Prize was issued also this past week, and it's no secret that Donald Trump was pining for that award. I mean, to think he had actually qualified for it is another matter altogether. But yeah, he was pining for it. He was expecting it. Didn't get it in the end. Well, we'll go through those two issues. Now, the first is this so-called ceasefire, this so-called peace deal that Trump is touting along with Washington and Netanyahu. And we got a few things to say about that. We'll talk about that. We'll bring that up on screen to discuss this ceasefire. And is it a ceasefire? That's the question. Here are three con artists: Benjamin Netanyahu and his cabinet. Steve Witkoff is Netanyahu's special envoy for the Middle East. And then Jared Kushner is Netanyahu's Minister of Real Estate Development. And they're there in Tel Aviv with their boss. And you can see on the back wall there is a small picture of the U.S. president, very insignificant. This weak leader in the White House, pretending to be an alpha male, but in the end, he's just basically a lapdog of the man in the middle and the lobby that controls him, the lobby that selected Trump's cabinet. Okay? If you don't like that, I'm sorry, that's just the fact. That's the way it is. That's just the way it is, folks. You know, we don't make the rules. Israel does. I'm just reporting on how it is. And some people might find that to be upsetting. But we have, very weak president, very compromised president who's covering up the Epstein files for obvious reasons. So basically, a foreign government's in charge of the United States, in charge of their foreign policy, directs their military. I mean, this is probably the lowest point in U.S. history. The United States is so vulnerable and compromised right now. It's at its lowest ebb in its history. And Donald Trump is the man who is presiding over this debacle. So who is this guy? So we call Steve Witkoff the Del Boy of diplomacy. If you're British, you know what that means. Del Boy, only fools and horses. If you're American and you watch PBS, public broadcasting, you get some BBC, you get some British TV, you might see Fools and Horses. It's a funny show, But Del Boy is this sort of charlatan that pretends to be an expert on things, but in the end, he's just a charlatan looking to make a quick buck and usually sort of talking well above his pay grade. Steve Witkoff is basically the Del Boy of diplomacy, a con artist, an absolute con artist. So that's where we are. That's where we're at. And unfortunately, Donald Trump has brought in all these real estate charlatans that have been appointed by Israel, and they're giddy right now because they're about to get their sort of life's work is right ahead of them. They've managed to ethnically cleanse, to genocide and ethnically cleanse the native Palestinian population that they call Arabs, who they don't see as full humans, and they think that's better to just kill them and drive them out of what they believe is greater Israel that was somehow promised to them by God like 3,000 years ago or something. I mean, they just made up this whole myth about the modern state of Israel, the whole Zionist myth. And now you're seeing it in its final stages, and you can see how horrific and truly demonic these people are. So we don't make it up. And to add insult to injury, this is the official Prime Minister of Israel's Twitter account. Look at that. Look at that. That's an AI generated image posted by Bibi Netanyahu's office of Trump getting the Nobel Prize ahead of the Friday announcement. I mean, if you're an American and you're sort of cheering this on when you see this, do you realize what a ritual humiliation this is? Do you realize what a mockery Israel, or basically really rubbing it in the faces of Americans, like we run your country. We own the White House. We own this president, this reality TV show, Apprentice, Mr. Apprentice. We own him. Jeff Epstein has the receipts, the insurance policy. Donald Trump even ordered that it be covered up after campaigning that he was going to, make it all public and da, 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 da. So anyway, that's the ritual humiliation right there. I'll just blow that image up for you guys. That's our title image today. Peace through strength, apparently, supposedly. So that Donald Trump, can you imagine? They've dropped the equivalent of 13 Hiroshima bombs on Gaza to try to kill everybody there. And those are all U.S. weapons, many of them supplied by Donald Trump. And Netanyahu, the genocidal fascist freak, nominates Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, talk about making a mockery of the award. I mean, you couldn't make this up. These people are completely insane and sadistic. I mean, this is a joke. This is beyond a joke. This is the state of the world right now, folks. That's the official Israeli Prime Minister's X account right there. Right there. That's what he tweeted. Honestly, there it is. Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. So he just started a couple of wars already, lied about ending the Ukraine war. Now he's escalating. Wants to give Tomahawk missiles to the to Zelensky, another little warmongering puppet. How is that Peace Prize material? Honestly, like this is a joke, right? It's a joke. It should be a joke. But the MAGA crowd are clapping. They think, yeah, that's our guy. That's our team. That's our team. Yeah, really. That's your guy. No dignity, no honor. Just clicks, likes, reposts. Of course, all of this gets prime positioning, and Elon Musk puts all this content in the fast lane on X, and my account and people like myself are heavily throttled. That's how it works. So there we are. I mean, what to say about these guys. So let's talk about this peace plan. Let's talk about this peace plan. This so-called peace plan that these charlatans are running here. These guys. This is not a peace plan. It's not even a ceasefire. It's not. I'll show you what happened when they announced the ceasefire. I'll show you what Israel did. This is what Israel did. They didn't waste any time. The Palestinians went out to celebrate the fact that there was a ceasefire. And this is from Reuters, by the way. Israel then has their tanks firing at the Palestinians while they're celebrating the ceasefire. I mean, honestly. It is. So the Israeli tanks firing on Palestinians that were out celebrating the ceasefire. So I guess it wasn't a ceasefire, at least not for Israel. Look at that.
الآن على الهواء مباشرة.
نرجو أن تتوقوا الحذر ونذكر بأن المكتب الإعلامي الحكومي
هذه قذيفة مباشرة من
Honestly, it's a bad joke. So that's how seriously Israel took the ceasefire. It immediately started. I mean, most people, you know, they'd want a ceasefire. Most people would sort of down tools. But Israel's one of the only countries that, between the announcement that there's going to be a ceasefire and whatever the official time frame is, they look at that window as an opportunity to see how many people they can kill during that window before it comes into effect. I mean, these are really messed up, really sick and deranged. The Israeli government, the society, the military, it's hard to find words to describe this sort of level of inhumanity of these people. It's quite extraordinary. Anyway, that was the ceasefire. And then Del Boy, Kushner, I mean, imagine sending your son-in-law in who basically is taking money, who's running this fake Abraham Accords gambit, taking money from the Gulf Arabs at the same time prospecting the redevelopment of Gaza after a genocide. I mean, is there any part of this that isn't really disgusting? And I mean, this is sick. And then Witkoff, Steve Witkoff, Del Boy, this guy during the last round of so-called peace negotiations was then at a pro-Israeli lobby gala black tie dinner in New York, promising to bring it home for Israel to the donor class. And he's supposed to be in charge of the so-called negotiations. Totally biased, literally having speaking at a gala dinner for the lobby on the eve of negotiations. This was a couple of months ago, I think in July or whatever. I mean, it's like this is a bad joke. So Trump has no control over anything. The lobby selects all of his cabinet members. They specifically asked for Marco Rubio. Specifically. And a number of others. Mike Waltz, etc. Elise Stefanik, because they knew they had these people were bought and paid for. They own them. It's and they're still running around doing deals. They're still running around doing deals. So that there's no I don't really think that Israel's going to abide by a ceasefire. You know what? And as I said previously on other programs, I still won't deny the Palestinians a little bit of breathing room so they can at least eat, so they can at least sleep without having bombs and these annoying Israeli drones going overhead 24/7, looking for people to kill. So at least at least the Palestinians get some respite. The children can play without fear of, you know, having a 500-pound bomb dropped on their tent, which is what these animals have been doing with their F-35s for 2 years now. Okay. And you think that language is harsh? The Israelis call the Palestinians human animals. Yoav Gallant, who's indicted in the International Criminal Court for war crimes, along with Benjamin Netanyahu, called the Palestinians human animals, and they need to be wiped out. As Netanyahu says, the Amalek, kill every last man, woman, child, and kill their livestock. Quoting biblical scripture. I mean, it's disgusting, these people. But that's okay. But if myself or some commentator describes the IDF as animals, that's while they're committing a genocide, while they're prosecuting a Holocaust right in front of our eyes, that's I guess could be deemed as anti-Semitic. I mean, it's just totally crazy. This is totally insane. So, but the good news is, folks, this framing, this insane gaslighting is not having an effect anymore. People are sick of it. They're sick of it. They're sick of being told that what they're seeing in front of their eyes isn't happening, and that it's all Hamas's fault. As Israel rains bombs down on children and women in tents at night, refugees in tents, they're bombing them. And these people are telling us, the media is telling us, the Trump administration's telling us that it's the Palestinians' fault. They deserve it. They deserve to be killed. You know, the latest academic study, 680,000 dead or missing, including excess deaths, okay? Excess deaths. 680,000, not counted. The Gaza Ministry of Health doesn't have the facilities. A lot of their records have even been destroyed. They don't have the capability. The civil service, the civil rescue services can't find all the bodies. Many of them are under rubble. Excess deaths from starvation, dysentery, disease, injuries, heart attacks, lack of medical care, everything like that. Excess death. You remember that term during COVID, excess deaths? 680,000. The official number is 70,000, way more than that by now. You've seen what the hellscape looks like. So anyway, we'll leave it there for the moment. But so at best, what you're looking at here is a strategic pause. A strategic pause to give Israel time to rearm, to give Israel time and the United States time to rebuild the so-called Iron Dome, to prepare, because they want to attack Iran. And all indications are that the United States and Israel are planning to restart the war against Iran before Christmas. And Trump wants to get it done, we're told, before Christmas. Actually, he wants to get it done before November or December, by the first week of December, because apparently, you know, in Washington, they have plans for Christmas. Nobody wants to have to change their schedule over the holidays. So that's where it's at. That is where it's at. So I noticed we have, hold on, we have a few guests that, we're not going to connect any guests until overtime. So if anybody is coming in the green room, please drop off and we will reconnect you during the overdrive segment. If you could, that would be great. I see a few people coming in here a little bit too early. Yes. So that's that story. We'll leave it there. And the other reason is because they have a zero 0% record. We'll bring Zachary Foster up on screen here. Zach Foster. An end to the industrial scale slaughter of Palestinians is welcome. But if history is any guide, Israel will violate the deal like it has every other deal. Israel's words and agreements and promises are toxic nuclear waste, says Palestine scholar Zachary Foster. Is one of the most one of the best sort of scholars on this topic. Here's, if you go to Zachary's X feed, he's done some, well, it's fantastic academic research here. He's a PhD, Dr. Zachary Foster. A history of ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas, 2008 to present. Each deal followed a similar trajectory. Hamas mostly observes it. Israel mostly did not. Praying this time is different, says Zach Foster. This is deal number 7 in this round of deals, apparently agreed yesterday. So Israel has a 0% record for abiding by any ceasefires. 0%. Obviously, they've broken every one. Very sad, but this is what they do. And this is interesting. So Witkoff is under a lot of heat. This guy, Del Boy, is getting a lot of heat. So the Witkoff family is threatening the New York Times with a defamation lawsuit. The Witkoff family and the Witkoff group. Oh, he's got his own group. He's got his own property group. Threatened the New York Times with a defamation lawsuit last Thursday over an article that claimed that Qatar had curried favor with the family. They're all thick like thieves, these people. As we told you, Jared Kushner has used the Abraham Accords, the so-called peace agreement that was never agreed on. We didn't even invite the Palestinians. It was drafted in absentia. And all it is a big front for massive billions and billions in real estate development in the region. That's all it is. And Witkoff definitely wants a piece of that action. Kushner is running point on it. It's just kind of disgusting, the whole thing. These people are shameless. Absolutely shameless. But anyway, let's talk about the Nobel Peace Prize. So Trump clearly didn't get it. Who won the Nobel Peace Prize? Let's look at that. This is who won the Nobel Peace Prize. Maria Corina Machado. Maria Corina Machado. They gave her the Nobel Peace Prize for allegedly promoting democratic rights in Venezuela. This woman is probably the last person you should give the Nobel Peace Prize. I will argue that this is the most politicized Nobel Award. I mean, it was bad enough they gave it to Obama before he even practically was sworn in as president. He didn't do anything. And they gave it to him to encourage that he does peace. And what did he do? He ran 7 wars during 2 terms. Total debacle. As a small consolation, Obama negotiated the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal, which we now know the CIA and U.S. intelligence always planned to scrap. That was a bait and switch, or in basketball terms, a massive head fake. But this woman, she helped orchestrate 2 failed coups under the first Trump administration in Venezuela. She has done more in terms of fomenting violence in Venezuela. She's calling for regime change. She's working with the United States to illegally overthrow. I mean, it's not very democratic. So this is a hugely politicized selection. This is basically pointing towards a regime change operation. So the Nobel Prize is now captured by the CIA. And we'll show you exactly how. There's rumors that Maria Cortina Machado is a CIA asset. And now we can see she's also a darling of the World Economic Forum. Surprise, surprise. So she's working with Marco Rubio and Donald Trump, and they're talking about a war in Venezuela, the United States to invade or ramp up attacks against the so-called regime. And she's the one, she's the, well, we'll show you. She's being positioned to be the next U.S. recognized president. So you don't have to be elected, as Juan Guaido proved. You just sort of go to Washington, and then the White House declares you president of Venezuela. I mean, stupid. But that's kind of how they've been doing it. Meanwhile, Venezuela has an actual president who the majority of the people support and voted for, who's popular. His name is Nicolas Maduro. So, but Machado. So this is the current Juan Guaido. His name's Edmundo Gonzalez. The U.S. recognizes him as president-elect, even though he wasn't elected to anything. And he has appointed Maria Cortina Machado as his executive vice president. So when he steps down, she becomes the U.S. recognized, quote, president. That's all. That's a done deal. That's a done deal. See, she couldn't run. The reason she couldn't run, she was running a grift. She basically, she accepted a position as Panama's diplomat on behalf of the United States and the direction of the U.S. She did a Saakashvili. You remember when Saakashvili was parachuted into Odessa as a failed Georgian president by John McCain to install him as the governor of Odessa in preparation for the war that we all know eventually came. He wasn't Ukrainian. Saakashvili wasn't Ukrainian. He ended up getting run out of the country by the Ukrainians. It was so bad. So they tried to do a Saakashvili, the U.S., by parachuting her into Panama. Probably something to do with the canal issue. And by doing that, she made herself ineligible to run for office. It's tantamount to treason, actually, but she made herself ineligible to run for office in Venezuela. I mean, nobody talks about this in the U.S. They just overlook all this. These people, it's a joke. So she supposedly gets the Nobel Prize for promoting democratic democracy. It's beyond a joke. But anyway, so this is how the media are pumping her up, you see. Here's the Rolling Stone. We will prevail. Venezuela's opposition leader is not giving up. You see? And there's so many think tanks, everybody's giving her the Juan Guaido treatment. They're grooming her to be the next face of democracy by a U.S.-backed civil war or a regime change invasion or war, who knows. They want to see some bloodshed in Venezuela. The U.S. wants it. Trump wants it bad. They want to see war in our hemisphere so the United States can flex its muscles. And Marco Rubio can puff his chest out. So is she a CIA asset? That's the question. Is Maria Corina Machado a CIA asset? A lot of people believe she is. And they've been saying that since 2005. She's been at it for a while. And it looks like she's working for Uncle Sam. And you're probably thinking, how could I say that? How could I say she's working for Uncle Sam? Well, I don't know. Let's just do some research, basic research. Oh, this is an interesting article. Venezuela's Attorney General to CNN. This is September 2024. The NGO SUMAT has no electoral authority. What is this NGO SUMAT? What do they do? They're trying to run polls and trying to run elections in Venezuela. They're muscling in this NGO. Let's look at this for a moment. There it is. SUMAT or SUMAT. So they're supposedly, pro-democracy NGO controlling polling and elections across a large portion of the Venezuelan electoral system. Where do they get their funding from? Let's take a look. The National Endowment for Democracy. the National Endowment for Democracy. It's a known CIA front, a regime change front. This is known. And who's the founder of Sumat? Who founded this NGO that's funded by the CIA front, the National Endowment for Democracy? Who started this NGO? Where do they come from? Who's behind them? Well, there's the founder. It's Maria Corina Machado, the founder of the CIA front, CIA-funded front, National Endowment for Democracy, fueling this so-called democratic NGO. So she's supporting the failed coups. She's fronting a national endowment, a NED-funded. NED is a CIA cutout. And they give her the Nobel Peace Prize. Wow, this is good. This is good. You couldn't make this up. It's so bad right now. This is so transparent. so obviously, what a con, what a scam. I mean, there's no end to what these people are capable of. This is we're in a very, very bad place right now. I think you've got a very unstable U.S. president who's very weak, who's being run by all of these charlatans and hacks, many of them who the Israelis have installed into the Trump cabinet. And he's digging himself holes everywhere, and he wants to dig a new one in South America. Not going well. The economy's not going well. The tariff wars are a failure. He's not going to be able to balance the U.S. deficit by punishing people with tariffs. He just passed 100% tariff on China. I mean, you go ahead. You can't reverse, globalization in a year or 3 or 4 or 8. It's not going to happen. That was a 50-year process. 50-year process. You think, Trump, you can reverse all that. And meanwhile, hyperinflation is definitely moving in America. They cannot control the price of anything. And one of the big people to blame for the inflation is Trump in his first term. During COVID, the Fed plopped something like, 20 trillion on the balance sheet. More money was put on the balance sheet. More fake money was printed during COVID, during Trump's first term. Well, Trump started, Biden continued it. So actually, Trump started the scam and Biden took it and ran with it in 2021, 2022. That was the Operation Warp Speed lockdown scam that put, but at the moment, it's 20 trillion and growing. If you count the funds that are still circulating, all the funny money, paying people to stay home and not work, paying for this, paying for that, PPE, paying for the vaccines, paying the hospitals for COVID care. All that costs money. That money was printed out of thin air, and it's caused an inflationary cycle the United States can't get out of. Thank you, Donald Trump. When have you heard Donald Trump come to the American people and say, look, I was duped during COVID. I'm sorry. That inflationary cycle we're in, I'm partly responsible for that. You don't have people of integrity that would ever admit such a gargantuan failures when quite clearly that was Trump. That was you, Donald. No, it wasn't me. It was Biden's fault. It was Biden. It wouldn't have happened if I was president. It did happen, and you were president. This Ukraine war, it's Biden's war. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's Biden. Would never have happened. No, it did happen. You escalated the conflict in Ukraine, Donald. You sent javelins, beautiful javelins, beautiful javelins. You sent the Obama was too weak to send lethal aid. I did it. Obama was sending blankets. No, that means that you escalated, arming the Ukrainians to NATO standard as they were attacking the Donbass to provoke Russia to intervene in February 2022. You started that, Donald. You ramped up NATO activity in Ukraine. All of the big drills. Yeah, that was you. And Syria. You occupied Syria in your first term. Yeah, a new war, a new occupation. No one wants to give Trump credit for that. You kept on attacking Yemen in your first term, and then you started a new war with Yemen and started a war with Iran. Now you're escalating. You want to send tomahawks to Zelensky. And what do you want to do in Gaza? Well, you don't want a Palestinian state. You claim you want peace, but you want peace, but not for the Palestinians. You want to basically bomb them out of existence and drive them into the Sinai Desert in Jordan and South Lebanon or wherever you can push them. It's called ethnic cleansing. That's not peace. That's a war crime. So what are you talking about? Tell us something that you've done that's right. You can't find it, can you? It doesn't exist. That's the problem. That's the problem, folks. Sorry to point out the obvious. Pretty incredible. Just to remind people what this peace president has done. Here's what U.S. gear has done. Take a look at this. Just so you know. Just a little, reminder. Well, we'll first start with this. What it looks like. You see, that's what 21 billion in U.S. arms since October 7th buys you. Completely depopulated, scorched earth, 680,000 dead and missing. Nothing left. Gone. 13 Hiroshima bombs, the equivalent. 200,000 tons of explosives dropped on Gaza. American explosives. American explosives. American explosives. Again, here's Zachary Foster. Posted this. I mean, look at that. Look at this horrific. So that peace. Oh, they want peace. They want peace. Trump wants peace. No. Witkoff and Kushner licking their chops, thinking they can build some Dubai high-rises there, a few resorts on the beautiful Gaza beaches. Meanwhile, the Palestinians go out to get fish to eat, and they're attacked by the Israeli Navy. They were allowed to go out and fish because the global Sumud flotilla tied up the Israeli pirate forces long enough. The Palestinians managed to get a couple fishing boats out. Israel won't even let them catch fish. It's just sadistic. It's really disgusting. There's one more. Here's another one. So now they want peace now. They want peace. Really? Honestly, whoever's still in MAGA that's supporting this, you're just insane and deranged, immoral. You've lost the plot. You think this is okay? This is Hamas's fault. Oh, let's blame Hamas. No, you're going to have to own this one. You guys are going to own this forever. In history and perpetuity, you're going to own this. This is you. All of you. All of you guys. Pretending this didn't happen, and the Palestinians aren't starving. Telling us that that these images are all staged. This is Pallywood. It's all fake. It's not happening. Nobody in Gaza is starving. That's what Ben Shapiro and everybody else has been saying. Jordan Peterson is nowhere to be found on this issue. He's probably cowering and he's locked himself in a closet somewhere, and he's probably crying in horror at what he said or didn't say. I mean, he's just gone completely AWOL. Probably sedated on prescription medication or something. Yeah, they'll tell you this didn't happen. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. That didn't happen. Oh, remember the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation? Remember that scam? Remember that scam? Well, it turns out when this so-called deal was signed, they claimed that they were feeding the Palestinians. And here's the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Here, this is what their base looks like the day after. So their little concentration camp, they just cut the concentration camps they built to give away morsels of boxed food that had probably no nutritional value at all, to make it look like they were doing something while they were shooting Palestinians queuing for food. They just cut and run. And then there were 600 trucks waiting at the border, as they have been for 2 years. And finally, Israel, after 2 years, the daily amount of trucks was over 400 a day, normally supplying Gaza. They suspended all that for the most part for 2 years to try to starve the Palestinians and destroy them, kill them, drive them into Egypt while they're being bombed. And they set up this scam called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. U.S. intelligence and Mossad exposed. And yeah, so they didn't care too much about feeding the Palestinians anymore, I guess. They've abandoned their concentration camps they set up for the Palestinians, what they call feeding points. So Israel and the U.S. bombed UNRWA, the UN Relief and Works Agency, demonized them, attacked them, bombed them, claimed they're a terrorist organization, the UN agency. Killed hundreds of UN workers, by the way, Israel's killed. And then set up this fake Gaza Humanitarian Foundation with U.S. mercenaries. Everybody in the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, as it's called, every single person involved in this needs to be indicted. Every single, especially at the top end, the business, the board level. It's a criminal outfit. And all the mercenaries who served, except for Anthony Aguilera, who's a whistleblower, unless you guys blow the whistle, all the mercs who participated in this should all be tried for war crimes and should all be locked up and put away for life. All of them. It's disgusting what they did. These people are the lowest of the low. They got paid for that. They're probably on like $1,000 a day. Like $1,000 a day. At least. Maybe $1,500 a day. They got paid for that. These people are the lowest of the low. This is the cul du sac, as they say in French. Bottom of the bag. They just cut and run. They just left. Left their concentration camps. So that's what that's all about. Great bunch of professional humanitarians. What can we say? So we'll see how long this one lasts. Let's talk about this and more on the other side in Overdrive. Hopefully we've got a few people joining us. Looking forward to it. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is episode 564 of the Sunday Wire. Some crazy things going on in the world. I honestly don't know what to say about half of this stuff anymore. It's just gotten to a level of insanity that's just hard to comprehend. And watching the media try to play this off like it's normal. Wow. Anyway, we'll be back in a few minutes. In the meantime, enjoy the music of, we'll play Joseph Arthur's seminal song, which he wrote right after October 7th, called Ceasefire Now. So far ahead of the curve, Joseph. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Sides when their mothers cry, and no real way to justify their death that comes from an evil sky. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now in Gaza somehow. Damaged like a nuclear bomb, dressed in a kill box. People can't escape. They're told to leave, but where can they go? A genocide, some think it's biblical faith. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now in Gaza somehow. Might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? 'Cause this might be the last time to raise a hand about who we are. What's this say about who we are? Digital images and digital lies cut out their heart along with their supplies. The propaganda leads to dehumanize our fellow humans and silence their cries. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now in Gaza somehow. Without equality, there will always be war. We have all a history to see how it's happened before. Travel as equals, equality for all, or else mankind will surely fall. Ceasefire. say about who we are?